In our last video, we made a alien version of ourselves. So in this one, what we want to do is we want to take two pictures of an animal and combine them together. Again, the end goal with each of these activities is to be able to make a superhero picture of ourselves. So with taking the two pictures of the animal, it's going to help us if we want to add wings to us, laser eyes, whatever the case may be. So this again is just going to be a good practice for how we want to go about doing that. The first thing that I would note though is we obviously don't want to take pictures and use pictures that are going to have copyright attachments on them. We want to search for pictures that are free to use. So there's a couple resources that we want to try to take advantage of. First of all, though, you'll note if we go to Google and we do a search for a dog, we can't just go and take any picture that shows up here. One of the things you'll see is it says search tools. If we click on search tools, we can click on usage rates and then labeled for reuse with modification, which is what we want to do. We want to reuse it and we want to be able to modify it. When we do that, you'll see that we now have a different set of pictures that we're able to download that have been labeled as being able to be reused and to be able to make modifications to. So we could use Google Images for that as long as we change our search tool and make sure it's labeled for reuse with modification. There are a couple other options as well. You could go to Photos for Class, and these are ones that again have been set aside specifically for use in class. When you click download, this will actually give you the citation for the picture as well. And then another one that you could use is called makerbook.net. Click on photography, and in here there's a number of different sites where you're able to look for high quality pictures that have no copyright restrictions and do not require attribution. So you can go through and you can look at any of these ones as well. Again, making sure that we're not breaking copyright and taking someone else's work is going to be a very important part of this project as well. Okay, once we've got our pictures, we're going to go back to Photoshop, and I've already downloaded a couple pictures and I've decided that I'm going to use. Okay, once we've got our pictures, we're going to go ahead and go back in and open them up. And I've already downloaded a couple. And I'm going to open those up, and so I'm going to use a squirrel and a wolf. And I want to use both of those. You'll see I've got my tabs here, but it's going to be much more beneficial if I can see both of those at the same time. So if I go up to Window, Arrange, and do 2 up vertical, it's going to put those next to each other. Now, one thing to note as you're going to look for your pictures, you're going to want to make sure that you have the same perspective. So both of these animals, the perspective is from the side. It's going to make it easier as I combine these two animals together. I think what I want to do is I want to put this wolf's head on the squirrel's body. So the first thing I want to do then is over on my wolf, I want to uncheck the lock layer. Then what I want to do is I want to flip it horizontally so that he's facing the same way as the squirrel. Once I've got it flipped, what I want to do next is take the background out of it. So if you remember back to the second lesson, that was one of the things that we did. I'm going to try to use, I think, the magic wand here. See how that does. Pretty good there. Pick up that little section, pick up that, and try to get as much of this out as I can. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to come down and try to get the snow out of here too. Delete that out of there as well. Okay, I'm really more just concerned about his head, so even though I didn't get it all, I got what I need, and so I'm going to go ahead and now that I've got that cut out, I'm going to go ahead and drag it over onto the picture of the squirrel, and you'll see that it now shows up. I'm going to open up my free transform tool, and I want to kind of change the angle so that his face kind of lines up the same way. I also want to make it a little bit bigger so that it will actually cover up the whole face of the swirl. So I'm going to make my wolf face a little bit bigger here as well. A little bit taller, I think. Change this a little bit as well. Expand it out. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. And good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and apply that transformation. Now the next thing I want to do though is I can't really see both of them at the same time. So what I want to do is I want to change the opacity level of my wolf. That way I'm going to be able to kind of see the squirrel in the background, and I can see my squirrel, and I can also kind of see the wolf as well. Now, while I have the wolf layer selected, I want to come down to the bottom, and I want to do what's called adding a layer mask. Adding the layer mask is going to make it so that I can kind of draw out and get rid of certain sections of it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to have the black brush selected, so I made sure that it was black and white, and then I went up to my brush, clicked on my brush, made sure that it was the black, and what I can do then is I can start to just paint over top of the wolf that we drew in there. As I paint over the top of it, you'll start to see that squirrel part comes through, and as I bring my opacity level back up, I'm able to have just the wolf part of it show up there. I can continue if I wanted to do a little bit more. Maybe I add a little bit, take away a little bit more of the wolf here, and have just more of the swirl picture coming through. And there you go. Just by adding that mask over the top, I am able to delete out certain sections of it. I could maybe come in here and fix this up a little bit better. But for the most part, I was able to pretty quickly add that layer right over the top of it. If I took too much off, if I change it to white, you can see I can start to bring back the wolf body. So maybe if I wanted to make it a little bit further back, I could do that as well. But I think I want to do just like that. And there you go. There's how you can add two things together. Now you could really get in and have some fine grain control where you can blur the two together. You can really zoom into it, and you could begin to really change the pixels and really make it start to fit in there a lot neater and a lot better. But for just a quick tutorial, not too bad. Okay, all right, that's your project. Combine two animals together, making one new animal. Again, remember, once you've finished, to export that picture and add it to our Padlet so that everybody can see your picture and the combination of the two animals that you put together. Okay, good luck.